It seems, at the moment, not a day is going past without data miners discovering awesome things hidden away within the files of Battlefield 5. Today is no different. Temporyal has uncovered mentions of a brand new multiplayer map within the files, and no, it's not Marita, and it's not Urban Combat either. It's a completely separate map, and we do have some details on it, very limited details, but we can absolutely confirm that it's not the same map that we've been talking about in the last few videos. Now, of course, it is worth stating before we talk about all of this data mined info, this is not official, so take it with a pinch of salt. I understand that some people think sometimes we're talking about confirmed content in these data mine videos, and that's simply not the case with data mines. They are unofficial, and we're always going to have to wait for DICE and EA to confirm what's happening or isn't happening, as the case may be, before we can just start celebrating that all this content is coming. But sometimes the jigsaw pieces all sort of fit together, so even though this is unofficial, you can kind of see what DICE is planning moving forwards, and that's why I like to cover this stuff, so you guys know what's going to be happening for Battlefield 5 in the future. Right then, here we go. The new map that's been found in the files is currently being referred to as Sand and Sea, and this is set to launch within the very first week of Chapter 4, Defying the Odds. That's in late June, so just a few weeks from today. A speculative date right now is June 27th, and that's going to be the date if DICE were to continue their current trend of leaving a 1-week gap between a chapter finishing and a new chapter starting. Sand and Sea appears to be a standard multiplayer map that will support the normal game modes included in Battlefield 5's multiplayer. That's rather than it being a map that supports the upcoming 5v5 game mode. Now, there is a lot of confusion at the moment surrounding these data mines and the mentions of the 5v5 mode, since we know that that mode is going to come with some dedicated maps. This Sand and Sea map doesn't appear to be linked to the 5v5 game mode at all, which is great news for fans of the standard Battlefield multiplayer experience. Now, I said that this map isn't the new Urban Combat map that we also know is coming in Chapter 4 as well, and I think from the name of the map that's pretty obvious. It's also clearly not going to be the Battlefield Veteran map that they're going to appreciate, which adds even more weight to this map being another multiplayer map alongside Mercury and Urban Combat. So it really does seem like DICE was listening when the community said that they wanted more maps for Battlefield 5. There's a potential here to have 3 in Chapter 4 alone, and that would be a massive result. Unfortunately, at the moment, there are absolutely no visuals or images or pictures of this map included in the files, which is disappointing, and it's quite surprising as well, considering details and information about other assets have been almost readily available within the files previously, so this might well be one of those maps that DICE has created in response to the community asking for more experiences in the game. Maybe this is a map that previously wasn't planned, but has been created in the last few months or so as part of Chapter 4. I'm not entirely sure that's the case, that's just a guess on my part, and I'm no game developer, so I can't really comment on the process of map creation when it comes to sliding things into the base game, but since this is the first that we're hearing about the map, and we're relatively close to its potential release date, this is quite a surprise that this is coming up now. Previously, other maps, other weapons, other game modes, we've known about those a couple of months previously, but with this map, it could only be a couple of weeks before it launches, so that's quite a big surprise. With this Sand and Sea map set to release in Chapter 4, that would bring the multiplayer map count for the chapter up to 3, with Marita and Urban Combat being the other 2. So, Chapter 4 Defying the Odds being a 12-week, 3-month chapter, that means possibly 1 multiplayer map per month for the next 3 months. That would be really exciting if that turned out to be true. Okay then, so there are some other things that are included in this data mine post as well. It's mainly concerning weapons that end up being rewards included within the Tides of War weekly challenges. We've spoken about a few of these weapons before, but since we're now piecing together what's going to be coming based on the contents of the files, I wanted to sort of go through these things and let you guys know when you can expect to get your hands on some brand new weapons for Battlefield 5. Firstly then, as a reward for completing week 1 of Chapter 4 Defying the Odds Tides of War, we have the S2-200, or the MG30 MMG. It could be either name at this point. This is the predecessor of the MG34 and the MG42, and it was developed by Germany during the interwar period. This weapon wasn't used by the Germans all that much during World War II, but it was exported to several other countries. Rate of fire in real life comes in the region of 600 to 800 rounds per minute, but it was only fed by 20 or 30 round box magazines, as opposed to the belts and the drums that could be fitted to the MG34 and the MG42. Perhaps this is why the Germans adopted these other machine guns instead for their rapid and more lethal firepower. This unlock, interestingly, is going to be tied directly into the new Sand and Sea map that seems to be included with this next chapter. The first assignment in the list, you have to play a match on this new map to get through the first assignment node, so that's pretty interesting. Then in week 7, and yes, I know we're skipping several weeks there, but that's the nature of data mine. Sometimes you find a lot of things, and often you don't end up finding the full picture. So, week 7, we have the Panzerbuchse 39 anti-tank rifle. That's going to be up for grabs as a Tides of War unlock. This German-made beast differs from the Boys AT rifle that was added recently in that it doesn't fire a hugely powerful round, but instead it fires that round at extremely high velocity, relying on speed rather than mass to penetrate enemy armor. Now, the Germans used these things up until about 1944, although as the war drew on and armor got steadily better and better, these rifles became virtually obsolete. And that's a similar fate that was suffered by the Boys AT rifle, which the British replaced with the Piat launcher. Next up, we've got the Karabin 1938M, a Polish semi-automatic rifle that we spoke about a couple of videos ago. That's due to be the Tides of War unlock for the second week of Chapter 4. Now, I know quite a few players of Battlefield 5 were genuinely disappointed that we didn't see the invasion of Poland during the Tides of War when the game first came out, and I know a weapon is only a very small consolation, but it did play a major role within the ranks of the Polish troops who tried to defend their country from the German invasion, so that's going to be the unlock, hopefully, for the second week of Chapter 4 Tides of War. And then there's the Arditi Dagger, which is a melee weapon we saw in Battlefield 1 actually. That looks set to be released within Chapter 4 as well. It's currently earmarked as the Tides of War unlock for week 5 of the chapter. And something else that will probably make quite a few players of Battlefield 5 happy, there are mentions of the Rush game mode returning to Battlefield 5 in the future as well. This is pretty much the only limited time game mode that I'm happy to see come back to the game, or even just when it was first introduced. Rush, to me, is a classic Battlefield mode, and I think it should be included all the time within Battlefield games, but that's just not happening with Battlefield 5. It's apparently returning within Chapter 4. A little bit deeper into the chapter, in July, the Rush game mode is set to be that limited time game mode, being the focus of the Tides of War unlock for the week, although the actual unlock at this time isn't known. It's set to come through in week 3 of the chapter. So at the moment then, we've got a lot of stuff waiting in the wings to actually be confirmed officially by EA and DICE for Chapter 4 Defying the Odds. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get answers to a lot of these questions later this week at EA Play when that live stream for Battlefield 5 goes up. If you're wanting to watch that live stream, by the way, make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll be posting out that link once it becomes available. Considering how much we're learning at the moment about Chapter 4, my excitement to play Battlefield 5 each day is steadily climbing. Since the Mercury map launched over a week ago, I've been having a brilliant time with the game, and with the news that yet another multiplayer map is set to launch in just a few weeks' time, it's a great time to get back into Battlefield 5 if you've been waiting for more content to drop. I've suffered the 6-month wait in this game without any content, so that you guys who watch my videos and say, I'm not coming back until there's more maps, so you guys didn't have to play. I've reported all of the news so that you can figure out if that news was enough to bring you back. I'd say now, with several new maps coming in the next couple of months, the time is now to return to Battlefield 5. Thanks very much for watching today, folks. I'll be back later this week with more Battlefield 5 news, coverage, and of course, brand new gameplay from EA Play. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.